Hello and welcome back to Homeschool Together. Thank you for joining us. If you have a chance and you'd like to support the podcast, we have our user guides down below, linked through our Gumroad page. Great way to support us, but another great way to do it is hit the subscribe button and the like button. That helps us out as well. Ariel, we've been celebrating Native peoples for last week. We had a really good journey. For us, we're kind of, I don't know, when we're recording this, we're getting close to Thanksgiving time frame, so it's very topical and everything.
And we just passed Indigenous Peoples Day, which I think we've mostly made the switch over here in Washington to that. So it's really great time to be studying this. So if you are looking for a time to study North American Native peoples,
November's a great time.
Yeah, November is an awesome time because of Indigenous Peoples Day. And I don't know if Canada has a different day that celebrates First Nations.
I don't know if Mexico either as well. So,
Right. So
find your local Indigenous People Day holiday.
Yeah. It's a great time to study it because there's lots of resources available. We're so fortunate in this area that we have several local tribes with their presence. And so it's really great because there's lots of information and cool things for us to see with our kids.
We'll talk about that.
Lots of great books at our library.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and hop in the books. We are Water Protectors.
This is such a good book.
This is a very good book. This is kind of set with the kind of almost a folk mythology tale about the snake kind of weaving through the land and kind of corrupting the land and everything. And I think obviously it's a story about the pipelines that are going through those areas. So it's kind of very topical.
Through the plains, right?
Yeah, the last I think 10 years or so, there have been some issues around that. So this book is definitely telling that story in more of a lighter, playful way. Almost like a folk tale. But really kind of driving home that idea of like protecting the land and understanding their rights and stuff. So
this would be a good jumping off point if you want to do some environmentalism and do some research, especially too if you want to look at for biomes, if you want to look at grasslands. This is great, or plains. So this is a good week to do that.
Especially if you're in the Midwest, this would be, I think, a very good book for you guys as well. We have a little Reading Rainbow.
I love Reading Rainbow.
Giving Thanks. This is just a great story about friendship and sharing food and loving the environment. It's just a really simple, short book. My youngest really liked this one. This was a really easy, smooth read. But just the classic Reading Rainbow book.
Yes, you can find a clip from Reading Rainbow.
And you can find the clip. And a lot of times they animated these books and they kind of told the story. And so I'll see if I can dig up the YouTube video for this one. Almost all of them, I think they did.
I just want them to start Reading Rainbow for 2024. I want our kids to have Reading Rainbow with all the new books because it's magic. It was pure magic.
It's a piece of our childhood. Pow Wow Day, another great one for the Midwest, if you're in the Midwest.
Well, and this is great. This celebrates powwows everywhere. So this is awesome. This is about a little girl who has been ill, and so she can't dance at powwow day. And so she goes with her family to the powwow, and her siblings can dance and her friends can dance and things. And she's even though she can't dance, she's still caught up in all of the love and the tradition and all of her culture and her heritage and stuff. So it's a really cool message, I think, on a couple of levels because there's a cultural element, but also this understanding of this disappointment that she's feeling. And I think our kids have all felt that at some point where they couldn't participate or, something that was so dear to them and weren't able to do. So great on multiple levels. Our youngest really enjoyed this one. So this was positive, very positive.
Another powwow book with Jingle Dancer.
Right. So they talked a little bit about jingle dancing in Powwow Day, but this one, our oldest is very into fashion and stuff, and so she really loved this book. It was about a little girl who wanted to do the jingle dance at her powwow, but she didn't have enough of the little bells, and so she went to neighbors and people. She went to her aunt and this other neighbor that she knew and her grandma and different people, and she was like, can I have just a couple of your jingles? And so that your dress can still sing, but she collected little bits from everywhere so she could make her own dress, and then she got to perform.
And then you've quickly followed this up with a couple of Jingle Dancer videos on YouTube as well.
We did. We watched actually more than a couple. Our girls got really into it, so you can find some great videos on YouTube of jingle dance competitions.
I'll put a couple down below. Short circuit that. You can go down there and check them out.
They're fantastic. Our girls really loved it. So I think, you can take Powwow Day and Jingle Dancer together and some YouTube and definitely go down a rabbit hole because it was very interesting and very cool.
A little bit I wouldn't necessarily say this is a chapter book, but It's a little bit longer read.
Coyote Tales.
Coyote Tales.
It's folk tales.
It's folk tales, and it's basically two separate tales told from kind of anthropomorphized animals.
Right.
Just kind of experiencing
Kind of a trickster tale.
trickster tales and everything. Yeah, it's really good. I thought it was really interesting. You can see here by the writing, it's a little bit more of like a chapter book. So if you have a younger reader, you may check their stamina on this type of thing. But there's basically a picture every page, which I think kind of is that easing in point. There were two longer stories. I think they're about 30 or 40 pages long each. You could do one of them in a single sitting. Fun little kind of folktale stories, a little bit longer than your normal book, like kind of like one of the reader books for the children's book. I really liked them. I thought they were cool. I thought they were fun.
Yeah, our daughters really enjoyed it. We're not huge folktale folks usually, but this is a good one that we...
Short book too.
Yeah, we liked the first go round and we liked it again. And there's one more, 13 Moons is also...
13 Moons on a turtle's back. It's turtles all the way down.
Yeah, and so it's talking about going through the seasons with the different moons, and it's poetry.
Yeah.
And so this is really nice too, but it's got kind of a folktale type element to it.
Beautiful drawings.
Yeah, the drawings are gorgeous. So we would just read a few a day. And then, so we could come back to this and just do a couple a day as we went through the week.
Each moon is one of the, like, kind of the little shell pieces on the back of the back.
On the back of the turtle.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so our girls really liked this one too. So you might check these out. I'm sure that your library will also have some other really great folk tales. And what we found was our library had some more things for our local area, and hopefully yours will too for the tribes that are represented in your local area.
Absolutely. Eyewitness book, if you want your museum in a book, just to put down on your coffee table or in your basket for your children to kind of peruse through the week. This is a great example of that, especially
North American Indian.
Yeah, especially if you are looking for certain things that are called out, certain type of outfits or any type of historical piece of artifacts or whatnot.
Lots of great artifacts.
A lot of great artifacts in here is a great way to kind of like enliven maybe something that you read or see in one of the other books. You can go and do a little bit of a deeper dive here, a little bit more of a museum style.
Yeah.
As we always say, eyewitness books are just awesome. We love to have them sitting around. We have a bunch of them, so we pulled this one out.
This was the only book that we had that talked a little bit about Native peoples in Central America, because we really talked more about that when we studied Mexico. So this is the only one that talked about that. All the rest are from the United States and Canada.
Yep. Another good one here, National Geographic Encyclopedia of American Indians.
This is such a good book, guys.
If you are trying to study, like you're trying to find your local tribes or tribes in your area, they do break it. They do break it out in that type of granularity. So if you are trying to find out information about the people in your local area, this is a great place to do that and find the outfits and the history, a little bit of the stories. Just really good, really engaging. I would recommend. If you're going to be doing longer, deeper dive, this might be a book worth picking up. Otherwise, check it out at the library.
Yeah, and you can look up your local state and you can find all the information you'd like to about your local tribes. It's a great jumping off point. And so what we did with this was we looked at our state and kind of went through, every day reading about, we have several tribes represented right in our local area. So it was great that we were able to look it up and find more information here. So National Geographic, it's always so good.
And the next book recommendation is kind of wrapped up in our outing, which is Owl and Chipmunk. This will be a hard book for you guys to find because it is a local book from the Tulalip tribe here in our local area, and we got this when we went to the cultural center.
Yeah, that was our outing, our experience for this study.
It was a rainy day. I took the little one with me. The bigger one was doing the play, and so I went down to the cultural center, and we went through their museum. They were actually having a film festival. Wasn't really my 5-year-old's level of stuff. We went through the gift shop and we picked up Owl and Chipmunk, which is a little kind of a folk tale story about chipmunks and how they got the stripes on the back of their back. Really cool, fun little story. I think the drawing's very kind of collage style. If you
kind of Eric Carle
style. So it was pretty cool.
And this is in.
And it has the
Lushootseed
language, which is the classification of the tribes in our area, the kind of a north and southern Lushootseed speaking people, and so they have that in the name. The English, I think it's the Latinized version of their language. So,
and they had like a whole alphabet thing there too that our daughter got to play with and
tons
hear
of like
the different sounds and stuff, which is really
very
cool.
very unique sounds. A lot of these symbols have very unique sounds that like we don't normally have in our normal speech. So it was really cool to hear. A lot of the culture, a lot of the kind of mixing and blending of the nature with the people and why things are important. It was really cool talking about the salmon people. There were salmon people, as well as the cedar trees. And what's really cool is we have a couple of cedar trees in our backyard. So when we were looking at how they were using cedar trees and the bark and for different ways of like making baskets or clothes, and they had examples of that, we were able to go in our backyard and kind of point out how they pulled the bark off and used it. So it was a really great way to kind of like mix the two in our own backyard with the cultural history. So really cool. Obviously, you can't get this book. If you can, it's kind of cute.
Go to your local, tribal cultural center. They were, from what you'd said, they were super warm and welcoming and
very warm, welcoming.
Very happy to have you come visit.
A lot of times for the kids are almost free, and ours was. She can get into the museum. For us, for me, it was like $10, so it wasn't really a big deal. It was really nice. It was quiet there too. There wasn't a lot of people, so it was really nice.
They had like a dugout canoe, and they had a bunch of other things.
They had a longhouse as well, and it was really cool. It was a great little outing. It took us about an hour or so. I really enjoyed it. It was really nice. And then from my own standpoint, I was like, okay, I want to do some Wikipedia dives, understanding who the people are, where they are. And I started seeing the granularity between the groups. And so it gave me a lot of...
You were like, okay, here's about the Treaty of Point Elliot. Here's what happened.
The Treaty of Point Elliot.
Here's who lived here, and here's what lived in our area versus... You had all this information. I learned a ton.
And the funny thing is we've been here for so long, and I've never really taken the opportunity to go do this.
We've heard about the Stillaguamish tribes and the Snohomish and all the different... We've got lots of tribal names in this area, but I didn't know a lot of information about them.
They were all under the umbrella of the Tulalip tribe, which is really cool. Great little outing for us. So I would really encourage you to find your local area. We also got, while we were there, the local newspaper. And that's also dual printed in the language, so it's kind of cool. And that was fun to just kind of...
That's a good keepsake.
Just kind of go through and see. It was all about Indigenous People Day.
And she made that at the Cultural Center, didn't she?
No, she made this on her own. We made this kind of with beads and everything, kind of like a dream catcher thing. I made the great journey across the country a few months ago, and I picked up a dream catcher for her.
And I love how you pre-thought about this. You did this in August, and you saved it because you're like, we're gonna study Native Americans, and I'm gonna bring this out.
Little thing
you kept the story of the dream catcher ready so that.
So we kind of made a little thing. It was kind of fun.
Yeah,
it was cute.
She made a little badge.
Little thing. Cool. Also known in our area are the totem poles, and so they had a bunch of totem poles there. Talking about what they mean and everything, and so we went ahead and my daughter and I made a paper totem pole here, and we has the eagle on the top.
That's an eagle. Sure it is.
Yeah, sure it is. Yeah,
sure it is.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know what else.
Yeah, it's a go Seahawks. And then drew a couple other little things and stuff, and so it was really just.
You did that after you got back from the cultural center.
After we got back from.
She was really inspired by what she saw there.
Yeah.
She was all a Twitter about it. She really had a lot of great things to say when we got home that day.
It was a great little experience.
Yeah.
We also watched Brother Bear.
Brother Bear. I think that's the best thing to watch. Honestly,
it's on Disney. So if you have Disney Plus,
it's great. If you haven't seen it before, it's a great story of family and I don't know. There's just a lot of great elements in it. It's one that I think Brother Bear is kind of an underrated. That's the Phil Collins music. I think it's a little underrated.
Well, no, it's not just Phil Collins. There's Tina Turner in there as well.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Tina gave a song, so
I forgot that's who that was.
Killer music.
Yeah, the music was really good. I don't know. It just never makes any of the lists, but it's Kenai and his brother, and he becomes a bear, and anyway, it's really great.
It's kind of brave-ish.
It is kind of bravish, and it has great messaging, really lots of great information, and really fun, good songs. I just don't know why it doesn't get more love. Brother Bear. Definitely watch Brother Bear.
Go watch it.
It was really good. And then for an adult recommendation, we really loved the Netflix movie Resball, which is...
We are suckers for sports movies.
We do love sports movies. This one is loosely based on a true story, and it's about...
the Navajo tribe.
The Navajo tribe and the boys on the high school basketball team.
And it's funny, we were just there about a month ago in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And we were in the Santa Fe, Albuquerque area, and And then we realized
we saw billboards
ads
everywhere.
ads for the movie, and we're like, "What is going on?" And then we ended up watching it this week, and we're like, "Oh, it's set in that area."
It's fantastic. So if it's definitely there's a little bit of drug usage and language and alcohol. It's probably not appropriate if you have a middle schooler. Fine, but probably not younger than that.
Yeah, there's some allusions to self-harm and everything. There's kind of underlying storyline.
Right, yeah, there is that too, yeah, just for a warning there. But what a great movie. It was terrific. So if you're looking for something as adults to watch to go along with this, and then you can read about the teams and things. Anyway, it was very good. Resball on Netflix.
So we hope that helps you guys when you guys are studying native peoples of your area. We definitely kind of like touched on kind of a broader thing, but we really did a nice little deep dive on our local area. We are going north and south next week.
Yes.
We're going to the Great White North and the Great White South. We're hitting the Arctic and the Antarctic, and really, Ariel, we're going to be studying penguins.
It's all about penguins.
It's all about penguins. But we're going to study the Arctic and
the Antarctic. Can we watch The Thing?
Oh, there might be some adult recommendations next week. I like the way you're thinking. Yeah, a little Kurt Russell. Yeah, a little top-notch special effects.
So it's almost like a documentary.
It is a documentary. I don't know if you've ever been to Antarctica. I've never been. I'd like to go. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week.